academic, Dr. Michael Frazer!
So, I have the honor of teaching about the Scottish Enlightenment in the place where it happened, the University of Glasgow. You can woo. And I know it's a little weird having a New Yorker teaching this stuff here. The foreign students in particular are usually disappointed. You ever wonder why there's so many foreign students in Glasgow? Outlander. Sexy, sexy Outlander. That Highland Bridgerton has somehow convinced millions of people around the world that there's nothing sexier than a ginger, tartaned up Scotsman. So we get foreign students showing up from far and wide of all genders and sexual orientations, just looking for a piece of that Jacobite uprising. So you can imagine how disappointed they are when they show up for the Scottish Enlightenment with Michael Frazer, and instead of a piece of tight, kilted ass, they end up with a fat asshole from the Bronx, like me. It's a real problem, but let me tell you, I have as much of a right to teach about the intellectual history of 18th century Scotland as any of you. Now, you sexy people are from Scotland. But since I'm from America, I'm from the 18th century. That's how backwards America is. And there is nothing more backwards in America right now than Donald Trump's tariffs. Adam Smith knew that shit was dumb 2 centuries ago. Now, my guess is you commie Ouija's have very mixed feelings. Very mixed feelings about Adam Smith. Now, you're proud that the discipline of economics was founded here in Glasgow, but you are probably also thinking that Smith was a Tory capitalist pig. But what you have to keep in mind is that Smith wasn't defending capitalism against socialism. Socialism hadn't been invented yet. He was arguing against something that we now call mercantilism. And if you think capitalism is bad, mercantilism sucks so much more. And I hate to say it, but mercantilism's greatest critic was Scottish, but so too are the 2 most famous mercantilists today. The first, and he's as much yours as he is mine, is Trump, who remember was Scottish on his mother's side. Hate to remind you. The second is Scrooge McDuck. Now, if you know Scrooge McDuck, you know there's nothing he likes more than swimming in a giant pool full of gold. Trump likes his golden showers, allegedly. McDuck likes his golden pool. And the basic idea of mercantilism is to get your country the biggest pool of gold that you possibly can. And the way you do that is by making sure you export more than you import, so that other countries give you their gold for your stuff. And the way you make sure that happens is through tariffs. Huge, Trumpy tariffs. But Smith knew that tariffs just make things worse for everyone. And he gives a fun example. He gives the example of wine. Now, it's just barely possible to make wine in Scotland. This is true. I actually had a neighbor who tried it. You know, he bought a greenhouse, he put in all this time and effort, and he ended up with the most disgusting plonk you've ever tasted. I mean, he said it was okay if you mix it with enough lemonade, but everything's okay if you mix it with enough lemonade. Even Pimm's is okay if you mix it with enough lemonade. But you know who makes good wine? The French. What they don't do is make a good peaty whiskey. I don't think they have peat bogs in France. The boggiest thing they have is probably runny, stinky cheese. And I mean, you could smoke malt over a giant pile of runny, stinky cheese, but then your whiskey would smell like feet. Who wants that? So the thing to do is to get rid of your tariffs so that there's more whiskey and more wine, better and cheaper for everyone. Now, of course, you'll end up with a smaller pool of gold, but that's fine. The first lesson of introductory economics is you can't get shit-faced on gold. So, I would like to raise a toast. Here's to Adam Smith and fuck Donald Trump. Thank you so much.